Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Posturing for Your Day. I'm Bill.
Top of the morning.
You're right. That's right.
Well,
top of the morning to you, and welcome to Posturing for Your Day. My name's Willie, and you're Gina.
I'm
you
just
can't
Gina.
do it, Gina.
Yeah.
I'm just Gina. As you know, we've been doing this whole week on wrists and wrist health. And because that commemorates the 1-year anniversary of Gina breaking her wrist, and for those of you who didn't know the backstory, we were doing a Qigong exercise experiment. We were walking around the house backwards. She started racing. It wasn't my fault. And so we were...
I would have won, too.
But you didn't.
But he put a table in my way.
Because she tripped backwards over a table. So in honor of this, our last installment on the wrists, at least for now, and also with St. Patty's Day tomorrow, I wrote a song.
I have no idea what's coming.
So here's your special song. When I was a playing, I fell on my back. All the things I was saying when my wrist went crack. But now I'm all better, I'm no longer sore. And I ain't gonna walk around backwards no more. And it's no, nay, never. No, nay, never, no more. I won't walk around backwards. No, never. No more.
Wow.
Now, Gina's going to share some stuff with us, and then when we're done, I'm going to share with you, stick around to the end, because I'm going to share with you my father's secret recipe for an Irish 7-course meal, and it only takes 2 ingredients.
All right, I'm looking forward to that.
So there you have it. What you got for us today?
Okay, well, just a little, continuing on some of the wrist movements, and just going to start doing the prayer hand stuff. We've been doing this all week, but while I'm talking, I just want to bring up a point in, when you're dealing with pain issues, particularly when they start to become prohibitive, it's easy to kind of write off simple stuff like this, I think, as well. That I tried it a couple times and it didn't work. And it's important to remember, even though everybody knows this Rome wasn't built in a day, this stuff didn't happen overnight. It took time to get there. And so it takes consistency of input to start to loosen things up and bring the ship around. As we've been learning about fascia, this isn't just about tight muscles that we're trying to stretch. There's gummy spots that occur on the fascia level, and it takes time for them to start to unglue and unstick, and it's just consistent input. So it's not even just a couple exercises a day, though that's a good place to start. It's really using your body parts in a different way and being really conscious of how you're using them.
Yeah, and it's not a discouragement thing either. That's not like, oh, well, then it's going to take years. Sometimes you see results within a week or two, a couple weeks.
Yeah, I would give something 2 weeks.
Important.
Is kind of a marker, and then going from there. But and then also likewise, just because you're out of pain doesn't mean that you still need to continue with things.
Yeah, that's a good point. We have a lot of clients who once they get out of the tailspin, they say, oh good, now I don't have to do this anymore, and they go back to the regular lifestyle, and it's job security for us because they'll be back.
Right.
But these are things that you can do to once you get out of the woods, to stay out of the woods.
Yeah. And I had a thought and it went out the window again. Oh, anyway, just thinking in terms of how many hours a day you're spent in the positions that led up to these issues. If you actually want to sit down and do the math sometime, think about it. How many hours do you spend typing? How many hours do you spend, even playing instruments? Because there's a lot of injuries come in when you're doing, guitar, piano. Compared
my ears hurt when I play my instruments.
No comment. But, just comparing that to how many hours do you spend not in those positions. And it's not like one has to be equal to the other, but just, to be aware of how much input you're putting in these positions to begin with. And oh yeah, not to be discouraging, it should be encouraging actually, because the body is incredibly malleable if you give it a chance. You know, I think we get discouraged when we don't give it enough time.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, so we did our prayer hands. It's something else I want to bring to.
How about, do I need to step out of the way and let you do your
No,
thing, or should I
no,
stay?
just.
Okay.
So I've been doing a lot with the hands, and Bill showed you some STR stuff on the soft tissue release moves, self-massage techniques. Wow, now I got it. For the forearm. Another interesting move you can do, you can do this up against a wall, you can do it against your desk, but just getting rotation in between the forearm and the hands. So I don't know if we've talked about elbow pits before, but thinking about where your
Elbow pits?
the opposite of where your elbow joint is on the inside, we call these the elbow pits.
Are these the knee pits? Do we have knee pits?
Yeah, we have knee pits. Yeah,
Knee pits.
yes.
Who knew?
Well, I know. So getting the hands in some kind of flexed position, and again, if you have some wrist immobility, this is going to be tricky at first, so you might have to adjust the angle until you can get the hands all the way flat on a surface.
Now, when I put my hands down naturally, my knee pits are almost pointing in towards each other. Should they be, or should they not be?
So the elbow pits are indicative of what's happening in the upper arm bone. And again, part of the wrist immobility is part of this larger structure of the arms always being internally rotated. So your elbow pits, if they're turned inward, it's indicative of what's happening.
Oh, that my humerus is internally rotated.
Right. So we want to try externally rotating. You want to get your elbow pits to face more forward.
To face in
front
audience.
of you,
Yeah.
to face the audience. And so that's an exercise in itself. It's just rotating the arms back and forth. And obviously, as you're pushing the elbow pits more forward, that's going to be the stretch, because you're working on what's happening at the arm joint too. I see a lot of people, when they're on the table and they're lying down, the hands can't even go down to the table because all of this tissue has sort of adapted into this internal rotation. So that's a part of that picture as well.
Good morning, Dennis.
And this is one thing that I worked with as I was, after I got the cast off, was making sure I could, at first I couldn't get any kind of rotation in the wrist at all. So that was
And again,
cool.
this is a very simple, if you want to call this an exercise, but I don't even know that you'd call this it's not an exercise, it's just a posture you can put yourself in, and you can do this throughout the day.
Yeah, yep, and I do. People look at me a little weird, but.
Like if you're in the bank teller line, and you're standing in line, just put your hands on the person in front of you and rotate your, I'm sure they don't mind it.
Ask permission.
Oh, that's where I get in trouble.
How does that feel?
When I do this, I'm aware of the tendons up here, the subscapularis tendon that rotates, that muscle rotates. When I roll this out, I can feel the pull right in here.
Yeah.
And that's the muscle that brings that in. I never thought of, because I have clients with that, top of my head's cut off. I have clients that have that rotation, that inward rotation all the time. And I never think about I'm always giving them stretches through a doorway.
Right.
But really that could just be forcing it back without rolling it out.
Right. Yep.
Wow.
And so if, I don't know how many times I forget if I've said this before, I guess it doesn't matter. But if you are, you're doing exercises that involve quadruped, planks or downward dogs and yoga and all of that, of being aware of where your elbow pits are. And are your elbows going out when you're descending in these postures, and just keeping your elbow pits, working.
And that's
on
an easy
getting
thing
that
to check
rotated.
on yourself.
Yeah. Yep.
I guess if you get good at it, you don't need a surface. You can keep your hands the same and roll it's a little harder.
It's a little harder. It's easier to stabilize the hand. But yes, this does rotate independently of this part of the arm.
Right.
So it's not about watching what your hands are doing, because in this, like you can see, my elbow pits aren't moving at all. Even if I move my hands, it's really about moving here, not here.
Oh,
Have
that's
you done?
good.
Huh?
Gee.
Stupid pet tricks. So. All right. One more stretch. Now this isn't something that's exactly practical in an office situation. It's just kind of a cool Qigong move that also helps the wrists. If you would like to do it with me. This one we're going to need a little bit of space for.
All right. Let me bring this up just a little bit. Yeah.
I fit.
There we go. Now we can get my bald spot.
All right, so the arms are going to be extended out in front, and you're going to take your index and middle finger straight out, and then thumb and the other two fingers are touching. And keeping the arms extended, we're going to arc the arms up toward the right. And you're extending through the shoulder here, so you're not, the body's not going with it. You're extending through the shoulders, keeping the palms of your hands, in a sense, facing away from you. So you feel that stretch through the wrist. And then we're going to swoop down.
Let me get you back now.
Come to the other side.
Ow, this is work.
And then come down.
Now, should I have my fingers together? It doesn't matter.
No, they're just parallel. Now from here, we're going to switch places. So I'm going to turn my hands. So now my fingers are pointing behind.
Oh.
Left hand's on top. We're going to glide them across. Switch again. And then we're going to come back with a flourish. However you do this is fine, but we come back, cross over, and then back to the starting position.
Wow. I am feeling that all up through here.
Yeah. Let's do it again, but on the other side, and then I'll hand you over to Bill.
Wow, what am I doing?
All right.
Okay.
Fingers out.
Fingers out. So it's kind of the way those stained glass window guys are always standing. Okay.
That's a helpful image. All right, here we go. Up to the left. Stretch through. Down. And down. Switch the hands. Come across. Switch again. Come across. And then all Lady Gaga style.
Oh, Lady Gaga. I do not do Lady Gaga.
You just did. So there you go. So simple, but yeah, it was a little bit of a workout, right?
It is, and I can feel things getting pulled and stretched that I didn't anticipate.
So Bill's going to talk just for a bit about how the neck muscles get involved also with some of the issues with things like carpal tunnel.
Oh, right. The scalenes. For this, I may use my lovely model. Get you to sit that way.
This way?
Yes, so that people can see what I'm looking at here. On Wednesday, we did some soft tissue release, remember? The flexors, the extensors, the thumb, then cross-fiber friction on the transcarpal ligament, and we did cross-fiber friction on the flexor or extensor retinaculum, depending on who you're talking to. There's one more muscle group that gets involved with wrist issues, and it has nothing to do with the wrist. It has to do with the scalene muscles. The scalene muscles start at the first, second, and third vertebra of the right coming out from the head, and they run down this way in like a triangle, which is how they got their name, scalene, and they run under the collarbone, okay, the clavicle, and attach at the first and second ribs. This is important because, especially if we have this head forward, do your head forward posture, if these muscles grow into a shortened position, then you're laying down back on your bed or something like that, and you want to bring your head back, this muscle gets stretched. And when that happens, it pulls on those ribs, pulls the ribs closer to the clavicle, and that pinches off the brachial plexus of nerves that comes out of the cervical vertebra, under the collarbone, over the ribs, and down the arms. So what will happen is you'll start getting numbness and tingling like down here if the ulnar nerve gets compressed. And you'll think, oh, the problem's here. Well, the problem may be up here. The compression may be happening at what's called the thoracic outlet. So for that reason, when we're doing these neck turning exercises, and when Gina's showing us, a lot of those routines, that's actually helping to prevent possible carpal tunnel situations or situations that get diagnosed as carpal tunnel. And that's the real sad part is, and I've had clients where they were diagnosed with carpal tunnel. The surgeon went in and cut the transverse carpal ligament, and they were still having all the same sensations. And that's because the problem was up here.
Right.
And now they've...
So you got to cut a little higher.
Yes.
Just take that off.
I have never made that suggestion to my clients. But,
Well,
but I used to be a carpenter. I have all the tools.
There you go.
And I can save them
You could
some
offer
money.
it. You could offer it.
But, this is an important area of the scalenes for that reason, because it can send false signals down the arm.
Yeah.
And then you're trying to address the wrong problem.
Right.
And it can play into vertigo a lot of times. The scalenes are pretty touchy that way.
Yeah.
So there you have it. Everything you ever wanted to know about thoracic outlet syndrome, but we're afraid to ask.
Well, not everything. There's
Not
a
everything.
lot going on up here. There's
Right.
a lot of opportunities for things getting pinched off and immobilized.
So is that it? We have more? Or
I'm
is
good.
it time for my dad's secret recipe?
Oh yes, since you
It is St. Patty's Day tomorrow, and it was my dad's birthday. He'd be, I guess, 92 now. But my dad has a fantastic recipe for an Irish 7-course meal. It only takes 2 ingredients. Drum roll. Potato and a 6-pack. Ta-da!
cha.
Come on, 7-course.
These are the jokes, folks.
It's this. Okay. Well, anyway, stick around on Monday. We'll be back. What are we covering Monday? Do we know yet?
I have no idea.
We'll be back with more stuff.
We'll take requests.
We will take requests. Hey, that's a good idea. If anyone watching is dealing with aches, pains, moans, groans, lumps, or bumps, give us an email at Bill or Gina at posturingforhealth.com. Tell us what it is that you want to learn about, and we'll make something up right there on the spot.
Or put it in the comments. We're on Facebook, obviously.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, have a great weekend, everybody. Happy St. Patrick's Day to you. Enjoy your Irish 7-course meal, and we'll be back Monday, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
Speak for yourself.